So we've been joined by Lexie Matheson, a very good friend of mine and a long-time theatre practitioner, and we'll just have a wee chat about their life and career in theatre.
Hey Lexie, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I've watched you grow up.
I guess the first question we've got for you today is, when and why did you choose to get into theatre?
Oh, God. How long have we got? I fell in love with the theatre when I was at school, and the school I went to had a really strong performing arts component to it, mainly around Gilbert and Sullivan. Now we're talking about the 60s here, and I always wanted to be part of that world, but basically I never had the courage to go and audition. I didn't know what it was about. A neurodiverse person who hated school is hardly likely to put themselves in a situation where teachers have some control over saying no to something you really wanted to do. So I never did it. I never auditioned. I always wanted to, and I was a real fan of the kids who did these things. So I went into education. That's sort of been my background. And in my first year as a principal in a small country school in the King Country, which is about as bizarre as anything you can ever imagine a theatre person coming out of, the school teacher was expected to be in the annual production of the, in this case, Ohura Choral and Dramatic Society, and so I got cast in it anyway, playing a character called David in a play called Cat on the Fiddle. And it was exactly as it sounds. It was pretty basic sort of stuff, but I got the bug. And I started to do amateur theatre a little bit in New Plymouth, started in New Plymouth when I moved there, and then moved up north and did a show for the Kaitaia Dramatic Society. I got the bug, and while I was up there, I met a guy who lived down the road from me called Terry, and he's a potter, and he's a gay guy, and he lived with a fellow by the name of, can I remember, Basil Patterson. And Basil Patterson at that stage was overseas in New York, and he's a choreographer, and he was a choreographer at the Mercury Theatre. And so when he came back, he came and saw me in a show, and then he went back to Auckland, and he told my mentor, Raymond Hawthorne, that he had to see me and have a look at my work. So Raymond came to Kaitaia, ran a design workshop. I was already booked in to go to London and go to a drama school in London with RADA as my goal. And Raymond said, no, you're not, you're coming to me. And so a year later, after some fairly odd experiences, I started work at Theatre Corporate under Raymond Hawthorne.
So you never actually went to a drama school in this country?
Well, there was hardly anything. Brian, this is the Middle Ages, and there was a national drama school, but I think it took 5 people a year or something, don't quote me on that. And it didn't have much of a reputation, and by this stage I was in my late 20s, and to stop doing what I was doing and being well paid as a teacher, the idea of stopping doing anything and not being paid and going to drama school just never crossed my mind. So Raymond basically ran a training establishment. So you worked as an actor, you did classes with him and people like Elizabeth McRae and Gillian Sutton and people like that. And so the training was on-the-job training, and you worked in schools. You went and did performances in schools, 3 a day. You came back to the home-based theatre in Auckland. You did a class in the afternoon, late afternoon, and then you did a performance or a rehearsal in the evening. So it was full-on stuff, and the training was brilliant. There's not a better theatre teacher in my history than Raymond Hawthorne. He was, my mentor, passed away recently, sadly, but his legacy is extraordinary, and that got me started.
And see, that what you just described to me is a better way of training actors than what we see now, where we have the National Drama School and then we have a myriad of universities churning people out with degrees in drama. And sort of thing. And what you just described is probably a better way of training people. They truly are getting experience and becoming professional, rather than just walking out with a bit of paper saying, I've got a degree now, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think you're right, and certainly I have no reason to look back on the experiences I had at Theatre Corporate in those days with any criticism whatsoever. I know every now and again people jump up and down about Raymond being a tyrant and stuff, but that's how you learn. I doubt very much whether All Black coaches
Exactly.
pussyfoot around with their players, and Raymond didn't pussyfoot around with us either. If you got it right, he thought that was great. That was expected that you would get it right. And if you didn't, turn up with your lines learned and a good understanding about where you were heading and respect for everyone else, then you didn't last long, and some people didn't last that long. So that's how I got started. It was a bit frightening coming from being the principal of a school to being a working actor with a bunch of people, and that bunch of people included Roy Billing, Christopher White, Rangimoana Taylor, Judith Gibson, people who are, Michael Hurst, people who have become literally icons in our industry. So I wasn't only getting really good teaching and really good roles. Raymond was very kind to me, gave me really good roles. I was working with people I could learn from as well.
And that to me is as I say, it seems to be a lot better way than today. In fact, some people today who wave bits of paper around saying I did a degree in drama probably wouldn't survive what you just said. they'd get all offended and upset. Well, he spoke harshly to me.
I don't know if they would survive just community theatre in general. Like, it's a tricky place.
Yeah, and it sort of, I started work for Raymond in 1975, so it's a long time ago, and it was a Wild West, to some extent. We had the Mercury Theatre, we had the Court had just started, Centrepoint was underway. Circa didn't exist at that stage, that came along later. Downstage, we had Downstage then, and The Fortune in Dunedin. So you could have a career, but the way Raymond worked was, I employ you for a year, and these are the roles you will play. So he was looking at me and the other actors that I was working with from a career point of view. So I started off playing mid-range roles in terms of size, so I didn't go straight into leading roles. That came reasonably quickly because he appeared to have faith in me to play those roles, but he wasn't going to put some idiot playing Hamlet as a first attempt. So he was, not only was he creating a structure for the theatre that was going to earn enough money to keep us all employed, because we were all paid on the payroll, not paid much, but we were all paid. He had to be bringing money in from outside. We were unfunded, but he was also looking after my career. He was saying, okay, Lexie, this is what we do now. You're in this play. It's a Chekhov. It's a small part, but it'll give you an understanding of a Chekhov. You're working with Roger Oakley. You're working with really, really top actors. Learn stuff. So that the next thing we did was a Shakespeare. So by the end of my first year, I'd worked with a number of really good directors. I'd worked with some very, very good actors, and I'd played some great classical roles. And that was really what I wanted. So that by the time we came round to my second year, I was getting leading roles and still working in schools. So life was very busy. There was no private life. There was, say goodbye to your marriages, say goodbye to, being a parent. It was just everything was committed to the theatre. And you're right, Jamie. I saw a lot of people who didn't survive, but it was our work and we were committed to it. And those of us who were committed to Raymond, we got the benefit from that. And that lasted for me from 1975 to halfway through 1979 when I moved on.
You're listening to On the Boards. This is part one of our chat with Lexie Matheson. Stay tuned for part two.